Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Non-Metadecker here, and I am bringing to you my Zombie XYZ deck profile. This deck has done really well for me. I top 4 to my locals. I ended up losing to a Chain Burn deck that won the whole thing, so I guess it's not really anything to be ashamed about. But it works really well, really fast, and I guess I'll get straight into the profile. Alright, so first off, for any Zombie XYZ, you have to run Triple Oni. Just the main card of the deck, just main card for any Zombie XYZ deck. Just his effect is amazing, and like even if you just have 2 on the field, you can just spam XYZ just by like set one on, then attach special to the other, and attach, so on and so forth, and just cycle through your monsters. So yeah, just a great card. I used to run Infernal Reckless to get all 3 out right away, but your opponent has to control a monster for that to go off, and it usually ended up hurting me more than it helped me, so I don't do that anymore. Alright, and then next up is Triple Pyramid Turtle. Really a staple for any zombie deck. It's the main searcher of all zombies. They don't really make, well, at least they don't make any good zombies with 2,000 or more defense, so it gets out pretty much anything you could ever want. And yeah. Then we have Triple Zombie Master. Just great card. Use him for his effect. Just ditch 1 random monster from your hand, and then special level 4 zombie from your graveyard. So if you have a level 4 zombie in your hand, you can just ditch it to the graveyard and then special summon it that turn. And just keep going with that, and super awesome. And then Dual Endless. Endless, I don't know. I would like to use him more. If I have a Pyramid Turtle out first turn and a hand that's not really set up for XYZ, which doesn't really happen all that often because, well, it's a Zombie XYZ deck. It's built to XYZ. But then I'll just go in the Endless 4,000 attack beater. Kind of hard to overcome. I've only had 1 instance where it backfired, where they Darkhold the field and then Monster Reborn him to their side while I still had 8,000 life points. But yeah, still a great card. And then 2 Paladin of the Cursed. This is more a personal favorite than anything. I would probably get rid of it. I probably will be getting rid of it though, because I mean it is a 42 card deck, and I'll just go down to 19 monsters and take these 2 guys out, because they're really only useful when you have Zombie World on the field, and since I only run 2 and no terraforming, I don't know, it doesn't happen all that often. When there is Zombie World, it's nice. Just keep stealing your opponent's level 4s to your side of the field, and then XYZing with them. Alright, and then 1 Bone Crusher, just for his effect, like an Endless MST when you keep bringing him out of the graveyard with like Zombie Master or Oni or whatever. 1 Mizuki, just, I don't know, I've used him with Bone Crusher. Just awesome card. Any zombie also, like I've also done it where they Darkhold and then I just Foolish Burial Mizuki to the graveyard, then brought back out Endless while I still had 8,000 life points. I kind of pissed him off. Alright, but that's it for the zombie monsters of this deck. And now to the non-zombies. We have Dual Summoner Monk, absolute staple for this deck. Or really, I guess it would be a staple for any XYZ deck. Just ditch a spell. There aren't that many spells in this deck that I'd like to ditch, but I'm willing to if it gets out an XYZ or a really good card that I need. Like, you can also chain the 2 together and go for like a level 3, like Violent Sigma or something. And then Dual Thunder King Ryo. Yeah, I know most people side deck this and only use it like against zombies or whatever, or not against zombies, against dragons or whatever, but at my locals, pretty much everyone plays dragons, and the people that don't play dragons play like Mermails or Evilsaur, but I'd say a good 75% of the people play dragons, so this card is just super great, and I end up ditching him to the graveyard for his effect a lot, but it's totally worth it. Alright, and then one Mirage Dragon, just so they can't activate traps during the battle phase. I used to run 2, but he's generally used as an XY material anyway, so unless I have a really good field, I'll just use him as an XY. Other than that, it's really great just to make it so they can't activate traps. And then one Dark Arm Dragon. Anyone that runs zombies knows, or especially Zombie XY, knows how easy it is to control your graveyard. With Oni and Zombie Master, you can just pick and choose what attributes are in your graveyard at least. And so, if you don't, I mean, it's very rare that you don't get him out the first turn you draw him. Even if it's, like, literally the first turn, you can generally get him out. And if you don't get him out first turn, you definitely can get him out the second turn after you draw him. I don't think I've ever had him sit in my hand more than one turn. Alright, so that's it for the monsters. 21 monsters. Like I said, it might be going down to 19, because I may take out Paladin the Cursed. But for now, it works fine. And then, onto spells. So we have triple Book of Life. Great card, just like a free Monster Reborn for zombies. And you get to banish staples from your opponent's graveyard. No real double-edged sword there. Well, except they have to have a monster in their graveyard, but they generally do. So, yeah, you can just banish staples from their graveyard, like, I don't know, Stardust or Gale or whatever the big problem card that they have is. As long as it's in the graveyard, you're golden. And then Dual Zombie World, like I said, just for Cursed or Zombie Masters effects. Just make all the graveyard zombie. And then triple MST and one Heavy Storm, just for back row control. I really hate getting like Bottomless or Mirror Forced or anything, because I generally have a lot of attack position monsters on the field, and they're all XY, so they're kind of hard to get back out with any good effect at all. But yeah, just back row control. Alright, and then one Lightning Vortex. I run this instead of Dark Hole just because there are a lot of zombies, and with zombies you can pretty much, you get to control your graveyard, so it doesn't really matter if a card's in your hand or in the graveyard. And with Lightning Vortex, then I can set up plays by sending a monster to the graveyard, or I can, and then I also get the added bonus of destroying my opponent's entire monster field, so it's great. One Monster Reborn, no explanation needed. One Foolish. I don't really think there's an explanation needed for that for zombies either. Just generally send Mizuki or Bone Crusher to the graveyard, or something that's effect is only good when it's in the graveyard. Or just a dark monster if you have Dark Arm in your hand. Alright, and then one Card Trader. This card has helped me a lot more than it has hurt me. And so, I know most people don't run it, but I really wouldn't even consider taking it out. It's a great card. And then one Burden of the Mighty. This card is super overlooked in my locals. I don't know elsewhere, but I mean, it's a great card. It cuts down the attack of a lot of monsters. Cuts them all to manageable size. I mean, like, just take Dark Arm, for example. He's down to 2100 attack. And when you have that out on the field. But, so yeah, 14 spells. And that's all my spells. Let's move on to the traps. So one Compulsory, one Mirror Force, and one Bottomless. I don't really think there's any explanation needed for all those three. They're pretty much staples. You see them in almost every deck. And then to the others, there's one Scrap Iron. I just love him. He negates one attack per turn, and generally if you have a set card and a card that they know is Scrap Iron, they'll MST the other card. And then if it's MST, you can just chain it, but Scrap Iron, it's just great. One Shadow Spell. I would definitely run Fiendish Chain if I had one, but I don't. So it's Shadow Spell. And this cuts their attack down by 700, so I guess it's good, but you just hope they don't have a monster out that's only good when it's sent to the graveyard. And then one Woboku. Super overlooked in my locals again, just to protect your own monsters, and it's a great card. And then one Torrential. I don't really think there's an explanation needed, just some cards are staples for a reason. Alright, so let's go into the extra deck. This is a key part of this deck. Start with the non-effects. So we have one Gagagigu the Risen, and dual Gem Knight Pearl. These are just because generally the first one or two icks you go into, depending on how good your hand is, will have no Ixie materials on at all. So it's super nice to have non-effects, so it won't really matter if they have Ixie materials. And then dual Utopia and one Ray, just when they're out of Ixie materials. And I'll generally go into Utopia as the fourth Ixie, just in a chain. So I'll get out like dual Gem Knight, and then something good, and then a Utopia just to protect that, because at least most of the good Ixie that I run don't really have that high of attack. Alright, and then one Roach, self-explanatory, against dragons a lot too. One Lavolval Chain, just sets up great plays. If I really don't have anything good in my hand, I will, or in my graveyard or whatever, I'll Lavolval Chain, like a Oni or a Zombie Master or something to the graveyard, or Mizuki, or just place one on the top of my deck. See a great card? And then one Djinn. Just, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. Like, take Dark Arm, for example. It flips him into face-down defense position, and he only has 1,000 defense, so then pretty much anything can beat him. And it just gets rid of the big staple cards that have crappy defense. And then one Gaga Cowboy to take down anything with 3,000 or less attack. One Black Ship of Corn. Super overlooked in my locals once again, but I love him. Even if they have the same attack, you can just send one of your opponent's monsters to the graveyard and inflict 1,000 damage. One Photon Paperative. Just, I don't really get him out that often, but he has a good card if they're playing like a defensive deck or something. And then one Shockmaster. You always call traps a Shockmaster. I don't use them that often, but if they're playing a heavy trap deck, I definitely will. One Vylon. I use them a lot against Mermails because they're all the same attribute, especially, and like I said, a lot of people at my locals do Mermail. Just great card. If I go into 3 level 4-star Ixie, I'll generally go into him. And then one Heraldry Crest. Just, if they're playing a lot of really good Ixie, I will cut it so they can't use their own Ixie effect, and then steal one to help me. And generally, if I go into one of these guys, because they're 3 level 4s, I'll just go dual Pearl, and then like into Vylon. I use Vylon the most. But so yeah, that's my zombie Ixie deck. Let me know what you think. Full 15 card side deck, and then a 42 card deck. Like I said, I'm probably going to be just removing the dual Paladin and the Cursed. So I guess that'd be a 40 card deck, but let me know what you think of that, and yeah, just comment in the comment section below. Later.